Yosemite Valley is the heart of American climbing. Granite walls rise more than 3,000 feet straight from the valley floor. El Capitan and Half Dome, stone cathedrals that have drawn generations of climbers from around the world. Among them are the free soloists. They climb with no ropes, no gear, no second chances. The style looks pure, almost graceful. Films and photographs turned it into legend. But the reality is darker. For every climber who tops out, others never make it back down. Since records began, more than 100 climbers have died here. Yosemite is both the birthplace of free soloing and the place where it has taken some of its greatest tolls. When outsiders first entered Yosemite in the 1800s, they could hardly believe the scale. Early surveyors compared the cliffs to cathedrals, fortresses, even the pyramids of Egypt. To them, the cliffs looked impossible to climb. For decades, that remained true. The walls were admired, painted, photographed, but never touched. Only in the mid-20th century did ropes and pitons make progress possible. Climbers finally began reaching routes that had once seemed beyond reach. The granite of Yosemite was born in fire, then carved by ice. Glaciers stripped the walls smooth, leaving cliffs that rise thousands of feet with no ledges to rest on. The same forces that made the valley beautiful also made it unforgiving. Cracks lead nowhere. Slabs reject hesitation. From the first move upward, the rock offers no mercy. By the 1970s, a handful of climbers began to leave the rope behind. To them, protection dulled the challenge. Real climbing meant nothing between human and stone. At the base of the cliffs sat Camp 4, a rough campground that became the heart of Yosemite climbing. Here, the rope-free style found its home. It was cheap, crowded, and basic, but it turned into the gathering place for a generation of climbers. They lived on little, worked odd jobs, and spent every waking hour on the walls. In 1967, Royal Robbins soloed the Nutcracker. Henry Barber soon gained a reputation for bold, rope-free climbs that shocked even seasoned climbers. But it was John Bachar who made soloing his identity. He believed ropes took away the real challenge. Bachar moved with calm precision, climbing routes that most people wouldn't attempt, even with full protection. In 1979, he famously soloed the Nabisco wall test pieces, Butterballs, New Dimensions, and Butterfingers, all in a single day. He even posted a note on the Camp 4 bulletin board: "Free solo God. If you don't solo, don't bother following me." To admirers, he set the standard for mastery. To critics, he courted death. But one thing was clear: Yosemite had become the epicenter of free soloing. In 1989, a teenager named Grant Cline set his eyes on Half Dome's regular northwest face. He was just 17, but already climbing at a level that impressed older partners. Strong, confident, and eager to prove himself, he set out without a rope, carrying only shoes and chalk. The regular northwest face is more than 2,000 feet of granite. Climbers spend days on it with ropes and bivouacs. To step onto that wall unprotected was almost unthinkable. From the meadow below, people spotted a small figure, inching higher and higher across the stone. Then came silence, a slip, a fall that lasted seconds but covered hundreds of feet. There was nothing to break the plunge. When rangers reached the base, they found the teenager who had aimed too high, too soon. Yosemite had claimed one of its youngest. More than 2 decades later, another soloist entered the park. Michael Ybarra was an established journalist, a correspondent for the Wall Street Journal, and an experienced climber who often wrote about risk and adventure. In July of 2012, Ybarra set off alone in Tuolumne Meadows, the high country above Yosemite Valley. The granite domes there rise smoother and rounder than El Capitan. but their polish is unforgiving. He never came back. Searchers eventually spotted his body at the base of a cliff. For those who knew him, the irony was brutal. Ybarra had spent years documenting how climbers accept danger as the price of freedom. In the end, the danger he described so clearly was the same danger that ended his life. In April of 2021, climber Josh Ourada started up Nutcracker, a classic Yosemite route with more than 500 feet of climbing. It's considered moderate by valley standards, well within the reach of an experienced climber with a rope. But Ourada chose to solo it. Partway up, something went wrong. He slipped and fell between 150 and 200 feet, crashing onto ledges as horrified onlookers watched from below. When rescuers reached him, he was bloodied and broken, but alive. Doctors later called his survival miraculous. Most free solo falls in Yosemite end at the base in silence. Ourada's accident was one of the rare exceptions. By the end of the 1990s, Yosemite had already taken some of its most talented climbers. Free soloing was no longer just bold, it was proving fatal. To understand why, you have to look at what makes these granite walls so dangerous. Granite in Yosemite is clean and glassy, polished by 100,000 hands and feet. What looks simple from the meadow becomes a run-out slab where friction must be perfect, or it isn't enough at all. On vertical faces, tiny crystals matter. A damp patch, a lost edge, a smear that doesn't catch. Nothing to grab after that. No rope to catch you. The routes are long. Even so-called short solos in the valley can stretch hundreds of feet. Big ones run into the thousands. Fatigue doesn't show up all at once. It steals coordination, tightens calves, blunts judgment. On a rope, you can shake out and breathe. Without one, the only rest is the hold beneath your fingers. And if that hold is sloping, your rest is time you don't have. Weather turns small errors lethal. Clear mornings build to afternoon thunderheads. A light sprinkle turns granite into glass. Wind chills already tired hands. Sun bakes the stone and drains water bottles, and dehydration narrows the brain's focus to the next move and the next. When a face goes wet, there isn't a safe stance to wait it out. There's only the decision to climb on, or try to down climb with shaking legs. Loose flakes hide in plain sight. A piece that held body weight for years can shift after winter freeze. A perfect edge can pop under pressure, because that's what rock does. It breaks when it's ready, not when you are. This is why Yosemite kills without warning. For Yosemite search and rescue teams, free solo accidents are a constant reality. A car is left parked for days. A friend calls when someone doesn't come back. Rangers find gear at the base of a wall. Rescues are rare. Recoveries are common. Rangers hike in with stretchers, sometimes by daylight, sometimes by headlamp, and bring out what the granite has claimed. Behind every headline is a ranger who carried the weight, and a family who answered a phone call they will never forget. If the danger is so clear, why do people still free solo? Inside the climbing world, soloing has always carried a strange appeal. It's seen as the purest form of the sport. No protection, no excuses, only a climber and the stone. For many, that purity is the reason. Every move has to be perfect, and that sharpness creates a kind of focus they can't find anywhere else. In 2017, the world watched Alex Honnold climb El Capitan without a rope. Millions saw the impossible and called it a triumph. For climbers, it was proof of what the human body and mind can do when stripped to the edge. Imagine you're halfway up a wall. Your calves shake. Sweat stings your eyes. The next move is possible. You've done it on a rope a dozen times. But here, without one, it feels smaller, slipperier. Your hands chalk. Your focus narrows. This is free soloing. No middle ground. Either you move up or you don't. Yosemite is more than a climbing ground. It's a granite monument, a place that tests human limits. Few have soloed its walls, and many never returned. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more journeys into the world's most impossible climbs and deadliest seas, and let me know which place I should cover in the next video.